Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unleashing Potentials podcast. So, joining me today is Manohar, all the way from India. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to your podcast, Benedict.
You're welcome. What's the weather like in India today?
Uh, so we are close to what we call here in India is called monsoon, where rains start coming. So we are close to the fag end of the summer.
Okay, I see. Yeah, it's nice and warm here. We've been getting smoke and, from forest fires. Other than that, it's
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you to come to share your story.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine, and I also would like to thank you for giving me an opportunity.
You're welcome. Um, so let's start by you telling us who you are and what do you do?
Okay. Uh, like you already told, my name is Manohar, and I'm from India. I'm working in the software industry since the last 15 years.
Mhm,
Uh, Coming to the other part, so basically, I think in 2019, I had this issue wherein I was struggling to go to sleep and I had insomnia.
mhm,
So I had a lot of things that were going on, but then I was able to overcome that and also have written a book on my journey called My Sleepless Nights, a story of victory over insomnia.
mhm. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think insomnia, so many of us struggle with it. What were some signs that you noticed prior to your insomnia? Were you feeling tired or you just wouldn't sleep?
Yeah, so coming to some of the few symptoms, Bernadette, one thing was I was losing a lot of hair. So every day beside my bed, I used to see a lot of fallen hair.
Mm,
Okay, that was one of the primary thing. The other thing was I used to have so much of acid reflux issue. So every time when I slept or whenever I don't even remember, but I used to have a lot of burning in my chest, kind of a thing.
mhm,
And definitely the other thing was low on energy, so didn't have the curiosity or the attention span, I would say, to
mhm.
take up any challenging task, or that those were some of the few symptoms which I saw.
Yeah, those are very common symptoms. I myself struggled with insomnia at one point, and during that time, that's when I learned how important sleep is.
Mhm.
Um, how are you coping now? Are you sleeping better now?
Yeah, so I'm completely over that phase. And like I
Mhm,
told, uh, I think in 2019 itself, I was able to overcome that phase. And in the end of 2019 is when I published my book called My Sleepless Nights, a story of victory over insomnia, where all I talk is my story of how I went into insomnia, how I struggled with it, and how I was able to overcome that. So
mhm,
that's about my book.
Yeah, I love that. Where's your book available at? Is it on
Uh,
Amazon or?
yeah, my book is available on Amazon both as an paperback and an ebook. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What are some tools that you put in the book for people to do to overcome insomnia?
Yeah, so Benedict, one of the biggest game changer for me when it comes to insomnia was the practice of meditation.
Mhm,
So what I did was before going to sleep, when I initially started, I just started with guided meditation where I used to listen for 3 to 5 minutes kind of thing. So to start, I just started with just 3 minutes of meditation. So after I built that habit, I slowly increased it to 5 minutes. Then slowly I made it the practice, incrementally building slowly, brick by brick, and it made it the 20-minute regular practice of listening to guided meditation, and then only going to sleep. So that is one of the biggest thing that has helped me overcome insomnia.
mhm. Yeah, I believe you. I started doing meditation before bed, and I noticed it does help me sleep quite a bit.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, I do agree with you on this.
It helps. To some people, meditation is boring, or
Mhm.
it's just what people say about it, but it's not necessarily what they say. What would you say to those people who say there's no benefit or it's boring?
Okay, so coming to the thing about meditation, so for example, like generally, whenever we think that meditation, mostly people think that you have to just close your eyes and concentrate on breath. Yeah, of course, that is one form of meditation, but there are multiple forms of meditation which you could try. One of them is called mindfulness,
Mhm,
where all you do is just live in the present moment.
mhm,
So, for example, you are having a glass of water. So, instead of just gulping the glass of water, thinking about something else, you enjoy sip by sip, and let that water touch your tongue, feel the taste, go down the throat, and also feel that. So, that is one thing called as mindfulness meditation. So, in fact, there is a course also called as mindfulness based stress reduction programs that keep running. So that has proven very effective. So that is one thing. And there are things like you could also do something called as walking meditation. So, for example, one of the thing which you can do is instead of just concentrating on the, like for example, we walk, but we are not at all concentrating on the steps we take. So the guidance can be on the steps we take: the left foot, the right foot, the left foot, the right foot. And then if we do this thing, these are few variations of meditations which you can try. So in fact, I was talking with a meditation coach kind of a thing, and the beautiful thing which he said is meditation has so many forms, just like you have ice creams, you
yeah.
have so many flavors. So you could try a various variety of ice creams. And in fact, let's say that today you like a butterscotch. Tomorrow you may not even like butterscotch. You can try a chocolate or a vanilla or a strawberry, something like that. So meditation also, you can try multiple variations of meditation. So it could be chanting meditation, it could be breathing meditation, it could be walking meditation. Like I talked about mindfulness, and then there are so many varieties, and people can mix and match, try which works for them, and then also do it. And coming to the part of boring, yeah, in
Mhm.
fact, yes, it is. It will seem boring, but once you do this thing repeatedly, the process can be life transforming for sure.
Yeah, thank you for explaining it that way. Because you're right, there are different types of meditation. Some people think there's only just one. You try to quiet the mind and that's it. In fact, yoga is a form of meditation, and being out in nature, that's another form of meditation as well. Um, yeah, you explain it so well. Um, because we do live in a society where our minds are rarely shut down. I
Mhm.
know for me, it was so hard to quiet my mind. There was always so many thoughts. It was so loud. Did you find that you struggled with that as well?
Of course, I did.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so to explain this meditation, I have a beautiful story from Buddha. So I'll just share that. So what happens is, once upon a time there was Buddha and his disciple. His
Mhm,
disciple comes to Buddha and asks him, "Why do you meditate? And what's the purpose and what's the benefit of meditation?" So Buddha tells his disciple to go and get a, gla- a glass of water.
mhm,
So at that time, the disciple goes to the river and sees that the water is really muddy, and he doesn't want to get the water. But Buddha insists that get the water. So the disciple goes, gets in a jug of water, and then says that it's very muddy. So Buddha says that just leave it aside for some time. So what happens is the muddy water, the mud at the top completely settles to the bottom, and the water at the top
mhm,
becomes completely pure. So
Mhm.
this is exactly what happens in meditation. So initially, many times, in fact, in fact, even if when I practice now, also, I get distracted multiple times.
Yeah.
But then, if you just leave leave that part about distraction, so there's nothing called as perfection in meditation.
Mhm.
So you have to just stick with that practice, do that thing, and then let that mud settle down, and then the mind can stop its chatter about thinking so many things,
Mhm.
and then you will have a good night's sleep, is what I would say.
Yeah, I love that example. It makes so much sense because once we become still and quiet the mind, then all the chaos can be in the bottom, and then we can find peace in the clear water of the glass you were mentioning. That's a
Mhm.
really good example. Um, yeah, what would you say to people who are going to try meditations for the first time? What are some advice you would have for them?
Yeah. So one advice is like, don't expect instant results out of meditation.
Mhm,
So the biggest thing which I have seen, Bernadette, is many times people who are struggling. In fact, I did that same mistake. To be really honest,
mhm,
I just started a practice and I just wanted instant result,
yeah,
kind of a thing. So generally, yeah, it can happen. So for example, you may start learning a car, driving a car, and you can instantly learn it, but there are so many people who can't learn it instantly. They take so much time. In fact, I just want to share one beautiful experiment called the marshmallow experiment.
mhm,
So what happened in the 1960s or 70s, something like that, what happened was, uh, people wanted conducted a social psychology experiment. What they noticed, they took kids who were at the age of 6 to 7, then they took them to a classroom, and then they gave all of the kids marshmallows, and then they gave a simple instruction saying that we will come back after 15 minutes, and if you don't eat the marshmallow which is in front of you, we will give you another marshmallow.
mhm,
So what happened was, few kids saw the marshmallow, couldn't resist the temptation, and then they just put it in the mouth. But there are few kids who were able to resist the temptation and waited for 15 minutes after the experimenter came back. So the story doesn't end here. The story is like, what they observed is people who were able to resist the temptation, basically delay the gratification. After 20 years, they were way successful in their marriages, way successful in their jobs, way successful in their businesses, or whatever may be the case. So
mm,
we live in a generation where there is so much of instant gratification. The WhatsApp, the Instagram, to TikTok, to everything is designed for that instant gratification, where you feel that happiness immediately. But if you are able to delay your gratification and put in that delay that gratification, it would be a game changer for sure. And meditation is no exception for that.
I love that. Thank you. Anyone who's watching or listening, I hope that they can find the courage to give meditation one more try or another try. It's having the patience and waiting, because in the stillness and patience, that's where we find the results we need. So thank you for explaining it that way. Um, you also put in your bio that you were put on anti-anxiety medications, which I'm on. I've been on for a while. Did they work for you, or are you still on them?
No, I'm not on them. But like I told, I started on this practice of meditation, and I went to a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed that I was on anxiety, and he was giving me anti-anxiety pills. But then,
Mhm,
what the psychiatrist told me is to continue with the practice of meditation, and with every visit, because I was continuing with the practice of meditation, my mind initially was very agitated, desperate, and it wanted instant fixes. But then
mhm,
once I started quieting down the mind, the symptoms started getting reduced. And with every visit, the medication dose was reduced, tapered down by half. And after few months, like I was like told, like I can stop that medication totally, but continue on the practice of meditation. So that is what I can share, Bernadette.
Thank you for sharing. What are some myths about mindfulness that you've heard of?
One of the common myth is like by doing these practices is some kind of a religious, or for example, mindfulness originated from the Buddhism, is what I understand by reading from John Kabat-Zinn. Uh, but there is a lot of scientific evidence that mindfulness or meditation has nothing to do with religion. So for example, just living in the present moment is what frees your mind from anxiety of the future and the guilt or the shame of the past. So this is
Mhm.
the one of the biggest myth. And like you mentioned, people think that it's boring, or they haven't done anything. Instead, they could watch a serial or do their office work or do something, or those things. But then actually the way our mind works is, if you keep piling in so much of information, it becomes very difficult for the brain to do everything. So once you give some time, the brain will do things like called as pruning of information. So, for example, some information is not important; it can just cut it out and work on the things that are really important. And that is
Mhm.
one thing which I can talk
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So, what does your morning routine looks like? Do you have a specific routine that you do every day to get started with the day?
Yeah, so coming to my morning routine, one of the thing which I have been doing regularly is, after I wake up, I have 1 liter of water. So
Mhm.
first thing is that, and I do a little bit of exercise. So I have been building on that incrementally, like I just talked about. So I do something called as sit-ups. So I just sit and stand on the floor. So that is what I have been doing. So I have been incrementally building up on that. So I just started with 10, increased it to 20, and slowly built upon it. So and I make that a regular practice.
Mhm.
And yeah, and couple of things is, if possible, I go and watch, go into the broad sunlight is something which I have been doing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Um, do you enjoy spending time in nature or go out? Do you guys have beach there? And
Uh,
what is it like there?
Yeah, so we don't have a beach nearby, but yeah, so coming to nature, yeah, I do enjoy spending time with nature. So I like watching the birds, and sometimes I do see how the trees are moving here and there, just to for the sake of seeing it. Nothing to I just want to achieve or anything. Just for seeing the
Mhm.
sake of the beauty of the nature is what I really admire and watch. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I love that. Um, would you recommend your career to someone else and why?
The career in the sense, the software
Yeah,
career.
yeah, like what you're doing now. You're an author, and
Mhm.
meaning the job that you're doing right now. Would
Okay,
you
okay, yeah.
advise someone to do the same job and why?
Yeah, definitely I would, because like helping people is one thing which is on top of my agenda, and by helping others, you
Mhm,
can grow both as a person, economically, and both you get a lot of satisfaction. So that is something which I would recommend.
mhm,
And yeah, definitely people would want a career like mine, because it has decent paying and also satisfaction for sure.
mhm, mhm, mhm. I love that. Um, give me a scenario what it's like to work with you as a client. For example, if you're working with someone, do you do you focus on sleep or habits or routines? What does it look like?
Okay, so when I work with, the biggest thing which I have noticed is, people who have this issue are like so obsessed about sleep that
Mm,
they want to fix it ASAP. So
mhm,
this actually creates the biggest problem. So the first thing which I do is to take their mind. Yeah, I know it sounds very difficult, but then
mhm,
once you are able to work have a talk, just like the conversation you're having one on one with me, where you open the peels of the layer one by peels of the onion one by one.
Yeah.
That is when people start feeling comfortable, and then the mind, once it is off the sleep and the desperation to fix the sleep is gone, that is when real change happens. And of course, like I mentioned, the practice of meditation, the relaxation, and all
Mm-hmm.
these things really change lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, so what was it like for you growing up?
Uh, just like a typical person who would be want to settle in life, want to have a decent job, earnable, and when in college, wanted to be getting a job right in college itself. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the thing which typically happened in my while I was growing up as a teenager. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What is your source of motivation? What gets you up and excited to get up and start your day?
The feeling that I'm able to contribute and make change in someone else's life with the knowledge I have is
Mm-hmm.
something that motivates me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's nice to be able to wake up and know that we're gonna change someone's life, and it's the best kind of gift I believe to get, especially when we wake up. Yeah, so I like that. Can you tell us more about your books? You've written three books.
Yeah.
What are the titles and what are they about?
Yeah. So, like I talked about, one book is called My Sleepless Nights, a story of victory over insomnia. So,
Mhm,
which is all about my journey. The second book is called Virtual Volunteer. So basically, in my free time, I volunteer with some other NGOs. I mean, non-profit companies where in the education sector, and I help this thing. So I talked about how what was my experience working with that NGO, and what was the benefits, and like I was watching a TED talk which talks about 365 days of kindness, random acts of kindness, basically. So where the narrator was talking about doing things which are like randomly helping people and all those things. So that actually connected a lot, and that is when I signed up for this thing where virtual volunteering, where I volunteered and helped a student create a career goal kind of a thing. So that is
mhm,
one thing. And the third thing is called 20 practice exercises for English. So since from a country where English is not the main language, so I've
mhm,
noticed many people struggle with English, and so I've created a workbook kind of a thing
mhm.
for people who are struggling with English.
Oh wow, those are so exciting. I love that you're helping people to learn English because it's such a common language everywhere. And for you to be able to bring that to people where you are, that's really, really cool. What is the languages that they speak where you are in India?
There are India has so many languages, to be
Oh
really honest
wow.
with.
How many do you speak?
I speak two, to be two, and of course English is
Yeah.
one of the most commonly used language at work.
Okay, English. Okay. What's the name of the other one you speak?
Yeah, so my mother tongue is Telugu, so that is one thing, and I also speak Hindi.
Oh, okay, okay. That's so cool. I love
Yeah.
learning languages. I love it. I speak English, Haitian Creole, French, and I understand some Spanish, but not too much.
Okay.
Hmm. So, in your third book, where you're helping people learn English, do you have all three languages in there?
No, no, no. It's about so it's a workbook kind of a thing where you can build up on English. So it's an exercise book.
Hmm.
So where it's a kind of fill in the blank, answer the question, and then answers are at the back, so
Hmm.
people can just check. So that is something like that.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's cool. What are some projects that you're currently working on?
One thing I'm working on is helping people. So since I have myself struggled with this phase of insomnia, so
Mm,
I'm helping people get over this
mm-hmm,
insomnia. So I'm working as a sleep coach and helping people get over this
mm-hmm.
insomnia.
Oh, I love that. I think the work you're doing is so important because so many people struggle with sleep around the world, really. At times I find sleep is such a, it can be a taboo topic to talk about, especially trying to teach adults or families healthy habits. Some people might already say, I know what I need or how much sleep I need. Do you find sometimes people kind of struggle with what you're trying to teach them?
Yeah, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Because uh, people want uh, so it's sleeping is considered, like you talked about, a taboo where sleeping less
Mm,
is considered to be something, a kind of a great accomplishment or something like that. So
mhm,
for sure people who there are people I have heard like brag saying that I have just managed with very less amount of sleep, or I can
mhm,
just do it with very less amount of sleep. That definitely is there for sure.
mhm, mhm. When it comes to sleeping, are there certain diets or ways we need to eat to improve our sleep and well-being?
Uh, so one of the thing which I it worked for me is uh, I used to have a late dinner when it so it used to be something like 9 p.m. kind of a thing, or
Mhm,
8:30 p.m. kind of thing. But
mhm,
I actually that not a very big change in diet, but I have just shifted my sleep, I mean dinner times, to 6:37 kind of a thing,
mhm,
where I give my body the time to digestion is one of the most energy consuming process. And what happens is when you eat late, the body temperature actually increases because the food has to get digested. So the body temperature increases. That actually creates problem. So when you have your dinner early, very early, um, so what happens is the body temperature increases, and then when you are ready to go to sleep, the temperature decreases. So that definitely helps, and definitely any kind of processed food that we eat in the night takes a lot of effort to digest. So
mhm,
as far as possible, less processed food helps is what I would recommend.
mhm, mhm. So in your opinion, how much sleep does an adult need versus a child?
Uh, the sleep requirement for every person is really subjective.
Mhm,
So quantifying a number is a very debatable topic, because you see many people talk about 8, some people talk about 7, some people talk about
mhm,
9. And the thing is, what I feel is, like I read in a book called by Deepak Chopra, what he says is our sleep is also as basic as the nature, the sun
mhm,
setting and sun rising. So, for example, the summers where the days are longer and the nights are shorter.
mhm,
And similarly, in the winter, the situation flips where the nights are longer and the days are shorter. So, few days you may need more sleep, few days you can get away with less sleep. So,
mhm,
quantifying and putting a number to it is something of a very debatable. And like what happened is when I was having this issue and I consulted a psychologist with, and what he told me was something like, your body should tell, someone else should not tell you how much sleep you need, your body should tell you. So if your body is saying that it's able to do with 7 hours of sleep, that's it. If your
mhm,
body is saying after the 7 hours of sleep, if you still feel you're lazy or groggy kind of a thing, then your body is giving you the signal. Learn to understand your body, listen to your signals your body is giving. And then if it's asking more sleep, just give it sleep. So, but I know, like when we live in a culture where it's very difficult to prolong our sleep. But then you can also do something called as biphasic sleep. So
mhm,
instead of sleeping the complete thing, you can also have a nap in the afternoon kind of a thing, where but having a nap limited to 20-30 minutes is something which is recommended.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts on caffeine?
Yeah. So yeah. So when in 2019 I was struggling with that. So the first thing which everyone says is to have less caffeine as much. So I stopped having caffeine after 10 a.m. in the morning. So that is one thing. So what I understand basically is caffeine basically blocks uh, the sleep drive from increasing.
Mm-hmm,
So when you have caffeine very late in the evening, kind of a thing, caffeine stays in the body and the sleep drive doesn't build up. And because of that, you're not able to sleep. And then it goes in the morning, you are very groggy. And because to overcome that grogginess, you will have caffeine. So it's a vicious cycle kind of a thing. So the thing which has been working for me is after 10 a.m. in the morning or something like 12 a.m. 12 p.m. in the afternoon, I don't have any caffeine. Is something which has been working for me.
okay, okay. That's good to know. Um, do you think drinking more water helps us sleep better?
Definitely, yes.
Mm-hmm,
Drinking water helps, but the caution is drinking very late at night is not something advisable, because for the simple reason that if you drink at night, after going to sleep, you have the need to go to the washroom. So,
mm-hmm,
and which breaks sleep patterns. So, yeah, so generally, so if you read the book Ayurveda, which is widely followed in India, so what Ayurveda recommends is when the sun is there, only you should be drinking water. After the sun sets, you should be drinking as less water as possible.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, earlier you're talking about the weather. Um,
Mhm,
I don't know the different seasons that you guys have in India, but here we have four.
mhm.
And the one that I struggle most with is winter.
Okay.
It impacts my mentality and how I sleep and what I do. I have less energy. When it's freezing cold and gray, no sun, it's very common to feel tired and just want to sleep.
Correct.
Um, when it's feeling that cold, what are some advice would you have for people? I know you guys don't get snow where you are, but pretend that you're here and it's winter. What would you say to those who are freezing?
So yeah, that's a tough one. But what I feel about it, like from the same book of Deepak Chopra, what he says is you shouldn't be resisting something called as nature. So nature is giving this duality, so of the day and night. So similarly, the cycles are there. So some phases are there where you have to have long sleep, and the day seems kind of dull and hazy. So the biggest thing is when we resist something, it persists even more. So you have to accept that some days will be there where you will have that groggy feeling, but just accept it the way it is and just move on. Is my take on this.
Okay, thank you. Um, are there certain routines that we need to do to have healthy sleep at
Uh,
night? At night,
yeah,
sleeping at night.
yeah. So one thing which I already touched upon is having early dinner. The second thing is having a sleep ritual, which is it could be anything. So it could be as simple as just going to a bath, changing your night dress, and then just feeling as relaxed as possible. So it could be anything for you. It could be listening to your favorite music. It could be just playing with your kids, or for example, one thing which helped me was the practice of Zentangle, which is drawing kind of a thing, which I used to do with my daughter. So
Mhm,
that it and definitely, if you have anything like meditation or mindfulness or anything, that definitely helps. So having a sleep ritual, uh, a proper winding down routine. So generally, what happens is most of the time we think that do, and then just like we switch off our TV, we think that we can just switch off our mind and just go to sleep, but that doesn't happen. Having a proper wind down routine is something I feel helps. And yeah, the regular things, which is like having caffeine early in the day, not at the late night,
Mhm,
and yeah,
mhm,
not consuming anything which is like going to stimulate your brain. For example, any news, or if you are um, habit addicted to video games, or addicted to reading books which
mhm,
excite your mind. Anything that excites your mind, if you avoid before going to bed, will definitely help.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, thank you. What are your thoughts on technology and sleep? Because that's been a big debate for the longest time.
Yeah, yeah, technology definitely
Mm.
helps to a certain extent, but when it comes to sleep, when it comes to technology, like I touched upon it.
Yeah. Before I let you go, do you have any final thoughts? Anything we didn't talk about that you would like to touch on?
Uh, Sorry for that.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. So I touched upon this concept of instant gratification. So what's happening is when we have this technology like mobiles, so we get so many things to think about and so much of instant gratification, but that definitely affects sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Is my take on it. And yeah, so I've seen people wearing this technology watches and all those things, and measuring sleep and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
What I feel is definitely, yeah, it may help to certain extent, but the biggest issue I have with these sleep tracking devices and all those things is it compares your sleep with my sleep or someone else's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's and then it gives a kind of saying that, okay, Bernadette is sleeping 3 hours or 1 hour more than me. So and then I start having feeling of guilt, saying that I'm not able to sleep or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my body requirement will be completely different. I may be sufficient with the sleep I'm getting, but comparing yours with mine is something is the problem which I have. And many people have this problem, and because of that they want to get that high score. That actually turns into obsession, and they try to fix this thing. And when you try harder to sleep, it becomes even harder.
I love that you bring that up. Thank you. Because it's true, we do compare our sleeps. We compare so many other things as well. But the danger is within the comparison of sleep. Because when we compared, like you said, we don't feel that we're getting enough or we're supposed to catch up to that person.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time. Before I let you go, where can listeners find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website manohargrandhi.com,
Mhm,
and yeah, I am all there on all the social media channels.
mhm,
So you can search my name and you will find me on Facebook, Instagram, and also on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for your time. Ma- Manohar.
Yeah,
Manahu? Sorry.
Manohar.
Manor.
Yeah, Manohar.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be in
Yeah,
touch.
yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And
Bye.
it was a great time talking to you.
You too. We should do this again.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.